beyond our circumstances. You have an insert, which was actually the words, the lyrics for the song that was so very beautifully presented just a moment ago. I want you to grab that insert. In front of you, there should be plenty of pens, and I need you to grab a writing instrument. This is not going to be so much a sermon as a preparation for prayer. And so as we travel brief exposition, I'm inviting you to write down your prayer joys, your prayer concerns as I introduce them topically. Because in just a little while, we are going to be praying together. Amen? Some of us are going to be coming up to the choir loft to pray with choir members. Choir members that are available and willing may descend to the pews. There's going to be a free flow and movement. We are pairing up and be in threes or whatever we happen to find ourselves in. And we are going to spend some time today not just talking about prayer, but actually praying. Amen? Beyond our circumstances. The text that Braden read for us is a good place for us to begin. Around the Thanksgiving table, no doubt you had the opportunity at some point since Thursday to ponder the question, for what am I thankful? For what am I thankful? For whom am I thankful? In the act of prayer, that you might call is an occasion for praise, right? We are praising God, we are thanking God for what we are grateful for. So as we go along, I want you to begin to just think back. You look into your life today, and many of us have many, many reasons for thanks. I want you at some point to begin to jot those down. For what am I thankful? What are the blessings that I acknowledge to be from God? Is it your health? Is it the relationships you're in? Is it your work? Is it the place you happen to live? Is it food on your table? Is it the fact that you don't have to worry about where your next meal is coming from? I mean, really, is it the fact that when you inserted your car key into the ignition today, first of all, back up, that there is an ignition to insert the car key into? You know, not everybody has that. And miracle of all miracles, it actually started? Wow. For what are we thankful? We will be praying about that in just a little while. We can't stop there because not too far beyond that question is a reality that Braden read for us. The prophet Habakkuk has been talking about God's goodness and God's work among God's people, but then he looks around and he says, you know, not everything is what I wish it was. He says that I look at the olive tree and it's barren. I go over there and look at the stalks on the farm and there isn't much to harvest. He goes on and gives us 4 or 5 different examples. It's a cue for us to look at those places where sometimes one might be tempted to just give up. Where the odds are so challenging, one might be tempted to just shake your head and walk away into darkness. Those also exist. Coming into church this morning, I was listening to NPR and detailed reports about a place called Paradise, California. I wonder what they are thinking about this Thanksgiving weekend. As cadaver dogs roam about looking for human remains, as people stand and look for 244 square miles of char. I wonder if someone is not raising the question, wow, is there something to be thankful for? Sometimes you look very hard, and the fact of the matter is that in the circumstances of our lives, we can't really find anything for which to be thankful. And that's where we are invited to look past the circumstances of our lives. Because that's what Habakkuk does. He says, I look around and but he says, yet, I will trust the Lord. Amen? Yet, my confidence is in God. Yet, is there a yet for you? Is there a yet for you? So what are the places, the realities, the hard challenges? Because it's not only disingenuous, but we deceive ourselves to come into this beautiful place and pretend for an hour that all is well. Amen? Because all is not well. Not with everybody. And if our God is so small that we have to pretend, there is a problem. There is a problem. So Habakkuk says, no, let's not pretend, let's open our eyes wide, but then find a yet. Yet. Even though the olive trees are bare, even though there isn't calves and cow and bulls to chase around, even though I look at the harvest and there is not much coming in, even though, yet. Jesus told a story about the reason people ought to pray and not give up. Listen carefully, my friends. The reason Jesus tells the story, Luke tells us, is people ought to pray and not give up. I didn't see this until this week. I missed it all this time I've seen this text. I saw in my mind's eye that road sign that has a black arrow pointing in two directions, right? Sort of end of the road, and you got to go this way or go that way. You've seen that sign, right? I should have put a copy of that on the screen. A black arrow pointing this way and that way, and then it's on the yellow background, and it says, here's the end of the road. You can go left or you can go right. Left or right. Pray or lose heart. That's why Jesus tells the story. He says it's important that people ought to pray and not lose heart. I never saw this. You have an option. Because losing heart does not coexist with prayer. Say amen. Losing heart, this is amazing. This is deep. Losing heart does not coexist with prayer. We may pause to reflect on what God is doing. We may submit to God's will as He leads us step by step. But losing heart, that does not exist where there is prayer. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist, Jesus says. And so he told this story. There was a widow in a certain place, Jesus said. And she comes to the judge of the town one day and says, would you please get me justice? Because as you know, my husband has died and I am being harassed by people in the neighborhood determined to take what little I have. You are the judge. Get me justice. Defend me. Speak for me. Jesus tells us ahead of time that this particular judge has two very important traits. This judge does not fear God and does not care about what people think. Now, those generally would be one of the reasons why someone might do the right thing. A little bit of fear of God and respect for God and what might people think. This guy doesn't care what people think, and as for God, he's not interested. And so he blows her off for days. But she will not go home. She continues to come and continues to come and continues to come. Until one day the judge, just about worn down, says out loud, I don't fear God and I don't care for what people think, but this lady is going to give me a black eye. She is literally going to give me a black eye if I do not give her justice. And so not even thinking about what she needs, just being all selfish, right? Just for convenience sake, he does the right thing after all. And Jesus continues the story. Listen to what the unjust judge says. And will not God grant justice to his chosen ones who cry to him day and night? Will he delay long in helping them? I tell you, he will quickly grant justice to them, and yet, there it is, and yet, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on the earth? He says, let's compare God to this judge. This judge who does not care one bit for this woman. You have a God who cares for you. This judge, even he will turn around and do the right thing. You have a God who cares for you, who calls you God's chosen. Now, let's be honest here. Chosen in this context originally, of course, meant the Hebrew people, right? Descendants of Abraham. But Jesus comes to expand the chosen. The chosen now is no longer the Hebrew people. They are included. The chosen, God so loved the world. The world. The chosen is everybody. Everybody. Everybody is chosen. Everybody is beloved by God. Not everybody knows. Not everybody receives it. But everybody is loved by God. For a Jew, that is awfully hard to hear. Because we have always been God's special people. Now you find out Jesus has blown the lid off of it. Everybody is loved by God. You too. Jesus says, will God not respond to God's chosen people? And quickly. Quickly. And yet, when the Son of Man comes to the earth, he's talking about his second coming, when he comes again to put things right, to judge the living and the dead, which we talk about in the Apostles' Creed. When he comes, will he find faith on the earth? In other words, will there be anybody else left praying? Or would everybody have just simply given up and lost heart? Two options, really. Two options. Lose heart or get to praying. Praying people do not lose heart. It simply doesn't work. Because they are counting on reality that is bigger than what they can see. That is bigger than their contact list, their connections, their power, their wealth. Praying people do not lose heart. So which way do you want to go?